Mr. Wilson, followed by Mr. Zuckerman.
Is this public comment, Tom?
No, this is a comment on this action item 8, Bert, which you...
Put mine down for our action.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. All right, my apologies. Mr. Zuckerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this on? Okay, so I'm short. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Tom Zuckerman. I represent the Central Delta Water Agency. And on this specific topic, I want to say I'm pleased to see this memo. I think it's well thought out. And I think it's particularly important on some of these subjects which I've addressed to you before, that you get some of these concerns framed early on so that it doesn't, with the time crush that's inevitably going to occur in this process, that it doesn't come as a big surprise later on that you might be asking some of these questions about how do the overall costs, which need to be reasonable within the context of the state statutes, how do they fit into the whole picture, and are they adequately taken care of? And similarly with with the the issues about decreasing reliance, if you will, on Delta supplies and so forth, and also the governance issues, which might not otherwise occur to people going through this process. It's important to have some attention focused on that early on. The other issue that I have raised, which is not mentioned here, I hope you will have a public discussion of it at some time, and that is whether there's going to be a need to have independent counsel advising either the Department of the Fish and Game or yourselves on the issue of the adequacy of the BDCP if it gets to an appeal. I think you should be prepared for that. At least have that discussion sooner rather than later.
That's a good point. Mr. Stevens, will you note that and talk to our executive officer about it? I hadn't frankly thought that far ahead. Yeah. Wise point. Okay.
That's a budgeting issue.
Okay.
Potentially a budgeting issue.
No, I understand.
And just because I do have to leave, I want to say how appreciative I was of the presentation that you had earlier this morning on the historical ecology of the Delta. I thought it was a very interesting and revealing discussion, and certainly a dimension that you need to have in mind all the time as you move forward on this stuff. I think it cleared up a lot of the things that there's been some controversy about here over the years, and sets a nice context for trying to figure out how to deal with at least part of the problems that have been created in the interim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zuckerman.